I can read a piece that maybe I could only read in Terlingua because it's not really that popular, but I've always been a strong-willed girl. At 16, I married a 23-year-old man who spent the next 7 years of marriage and beyond aggressively trying to control me. It wasn't a peaceful union. A single mother, I sought more security and married who I thought was a more normal person who could give my family a home. He had a career and children of his own. Against my strong will, he used a more passive-aggressive approach. He threatened to blow his brains out so many times that I finally brought out my father's revolver and told him to do it or shut the fuck up. He sought another woman for solace, and I was happy for the way out his affair gave me. Around that time, my sons went to live with their father. At 30, I found myself on my own for the first time in my life. Full of curiosity, I dated Latin men, mostly professors, then outdoor types. I struck out on my first trip to Big Bend. What I found there was a bartender. He was educated and manly. The trip to his house after the bar closed down a dusty road ended up lasting a few years. We traveled to Colorado, Maine, Arizona, working on rivers and on films and remote locations together. It wasn't a peaceful union either, but I learned a lot about what I was capable of and what kind of life I was happiest with. It was a movement. After our goodbye, I packed my truck, and it remains packed to some degree to this day. Summers I've been loved well and often in tents, on boats in big water, and ski lodges by men who were enamored of me and I of them while we were together. We dated for hours, spanning a few years. It was always with great regret that I put my arm out the window of my dusty truck with the bike and the kayak in the back to wave goodbye. Regret was tinged with the warm memory of being fully appreciated, if only for a short time. Any longer a visit and real life would set in with distractions and too much thinking about what it all meant. And a few miles down the road, I would be filled with anticipation about the next river, trail, or man, depending on the destination and which thing I liked the best about where I was going. I did settle down for a while, and I mean I settled. The irresistible siren call of a tortured man. That lesson exacted a high enough price. Showing up for the tortured has lost its allure. I moved on and understandably sought what I thought was a more normal union. Part 2. The trouble is, I don't know what normal is. I think it's something besides what I know. I moved to the city and found myself putting up with boring for what I thought was emotional security, but it never felt right. At the end of boring period number 2, a friend gave me a book called The Case for Mr. Good Enough. It was enlightening and engendered compassion in me for the less fair sex. And I tried to date nice men, to give them a chance. I found myself leading on the dance floor, choosing the restaurants, and helping them decide what to wear. And it isn't fair to continue to see someone for whom you know you can't have abiding respect if that's what they're expecting. Denied that, they always seem to want friendship. And I'd rather be learning the lessons of solitude than have a palliative relationship. As unpopular as it may be, that is my truth. Another woman, my adventurous tribe, came to the city, and we asked ourselves if there was a man in Austin without a vacancy sign on the berry portion of his twigs and berries. A man with calluses on his hands and stories to tell, and it didn't seem so. Me, an irreverent tease, I recently flirted with a man who appeared on a bar stool next to me, and it was his hands that first caught my attention. They were strong man hands. I'm an alpha female, as if most of you don't know that, and like sharp conversation, I fully expected this handsome hulk to cave to my charm and wit. And instead, he came back with his own digs and matched me story for story, confidently, almost arrogantly. Bob Marley says, truth is everyone's going to hurt you. You just got to find the ones worth suffering for. Which ones were worth suffering for? Yes, the last time I visited Terlingua, exactly 3 conversations started with, speaking of your crazy exes. Some of them were the boring ones never ever make the list. From age 16, I've been taking care of myself. I've had my children. Your identity, and boring is not worth suffering for. I gave the man with the hands and the stories my phone number, and he continues to take no shit from me. It's only been a few weeks, but I'm smitten. I will know him better, and in addition to being well-educated, successful, evolved, and handsome, he may well turn out to be tortured. There may be too much personality between the two of us to make it work, but I have my answer. I have to call the nice guy I was supposed to see a movie with next week and tell him I've met someone, the real me, the woman who knows she needs interesting and intelligent, even if the only color choice that ever comes in is complicated.